Well, hello, it's Harold Munro, editor-in-chief at the Vancouver Sun, and I'm joined by columnist Daphne Bramham. Welcome, Daphne.
Well, thank you.
Here we
Happy
are on
election day.
Yes, happy election day. And we're waiting now for the clock to tick down and the polls to close. Which ridings are you going to be watching most closely after 7 o'clock?
Well, I think it's fair to remind people that we do have 42 ridings. And one of the weird things about British Columbia is that despite our reputation as being a bit flaky, the Conservatives really hold most of the seats going into this election. They held 17, the NDP and the Liberals each held 11, and the Green Party had 2. So that's one thing to keep in mind as we go forward this evening. And the other thing that makes it so interesting is that in British Columbia we have more ridings that do 3 ways that could go 3 ways, and we're unique in the sense that it's not beyond belief for people to vote Conservative one time and NDP the next. And in this election, and in other elections too, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they could switch from Conservative to Green Party. In this election, I think it'll be interesting to see where some of those minority voters go, if I can put them that way, the ones who would vote Green, or maybe vote the other protest party in this election, which is the People's Party of Canada, and Maxime Bernier, who's getting quite a bit of traction in the West, so much traction in the West that he's actually in Saskatoon tonight for election night.
That's interesting. I was able to see him in Saskatchewan. Out here, they have certainly increased their share of the vote. I think they're up to 6% and maybe a little higher in a couple of other regions of BC, but a little lower perhaps in the Lower Mainland.
Polls. So we'll see how they really are when it comes to voting, right?
Yeah, but that's enough, as you say, in a tight riding to perhaps have an impact.
Absolutely. So the riding that I'm most curious about, that I'll be watching closely, let me put it that way, is Vancouver Granville, because that's Jody Wilson-Raybauld's riding. It's a riding that could go any way, really. It's had all sorts of interesting intrigues. So the Liberals candidate who seemed to come in with a bit of an advantage, Talib Noor Mohammed, has been sideswiped by the reporting on his flipping houses, which doesn't bode well for amongst the renters and the people who are struggling in that riding for affordability. But there are a lot of people in that riding who are pretty wealthy, and some of them don't really, that's not going to bother them. So that is interesting as
More difficult if you've got a close race. You can't necessarily count on
form a minority government, I think he may suffer the fate of
Conservative Party for sure.